Hello everyone, welcome to the Late Show by Sports Entertainment Weekly. I'm your host Kris. Today I want to talk about the FIFA Club World Cup 2025. You know, the bastard child of international football and club competitions with the relevance of the Fast and the Furious franchise, that tournament. A tournament that has been mired with controversy from the get-go and is already such a spectacular mess even before the kickoff that even the Fire Festival guys are probably wondering, Jesus Christ, at least we had the courtesy to wait until people actually showed up before disappointing them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Kris, you Professor Postrat, why should we care about yet another football tournament when I'm still busy trying to figure out why my 10-year-old niece spends 12 hours a day on YouTube watching videos of a man named Beast give away a car named Truck? Well, Mr. Fatches69, first of all, thank you for using my full legal name. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to your comment in this video as well. But secondly, you should care about the FIFA Club World Cup because FIFA wants you to care. From the $1 billion prize pool for the 32 participating teams to a gold-plated trophy that somehow looks like something that the organizers stole off the sets of National Treasure when Nick Cage was busy bidding for a dinosaur skull. FIFA has relentlessly pushed this tournament down our throats in a perfect encapsulation of all of modern football's flaws: bloated, unnecessary, and commercially driven. Here is FIFA's official promo video for the tournament.
32 clubs in a mind-blowing 4-week tournament, all with one goal: to be world champion. The road to 25 starts now. Let's go.
Fun fact, the na you heard is actually no from fans who hate this tournament. So what is the FIFA Club World Cup and how is it different this year? And most importantly, why does everybody seem to hate it? Let's break all of this down one by one. And let's start off with a little bit of a history lesson. The first ever FIFA Club World Cup was held in 2000. It was a simple idea: bring together the champions from the top 6 federations, that is Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, Oceania, along with one team from the host nation, whichever that is. These teams would compete in a knockout format over 2 weeks to crown the world's best club team. The first edition was held in Brazil and won by Corinthians, a Brazilian team. It also included the likes of Real Madrid, Al Nassr, and infamously Manchester United. Controversy stemmed from United's unprecedented withdrawal from the FA Cup in order to participate in the FIFA Club World Cup. The decision was not simply about fixture congestion. It was heavily influenced by pressure from the Football Association and the UK government, who saw United's participation in the FIFA Club World Cup as a way to curry favour with FIFA and strengthen England's bid to host the 2006 World Cup. At the time, the move was met with widespread outrage from fans, media, and football figures across the country. Many accused United of killing the FA Cup tradition. Now, you're probably wondering how that 4D chess move worked out for England and Manchester United. Well, the club would go on to crash out of the Club World Cup in the group stages itself in a tournament they were billed favourites. And as for England, the hosting rights ultimately went to Germany over them, and the nail in the coffin was the fact that England didn't win the World Cup either, instead getting knocked out by Portugal in the quarterfinals, agonizingly in a penalty shootout. It's like skipping the dinner at Grandma's because your friend Jake scored 2 tickets to the Coldplay concert's after party, only for you to show up to the venue and realize that the after party is actually held in a broom closet with Bluetooth speakers, and the guys organizing it were definitely not at the concert, and worst of all, you still owe Jake $600 for the ticket. Despite its novelty and the obvious dramatic flair, the Club World Cup has since been a glorified pre-season friendly with 7 teams from across the globe. Despite having the World Cup tagged to it, the past winners didn't have to play no more than 2 matches to be crowned world champions. There is no way you should be crowned a world beater at anything after only 3 hours of the said activity. Well, that is unless of course it is running a marathon dressed as an elf. Look at him. Look how majestic he is. Nobody is going to be able to look him in the eye and tell him that he didn't deserve that Guinness World Record. Yeah, you go elf man. Funnily, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who by the way is the answer to the question, what would Jeff Bezos would look like if he decided to ruin the lives of footballers instead of factory workers, realized the same thing. That is why a few years back, Infantino envisioned a brand new FIFA Club World Cup expanded to 32 teams from just 7 and far beyond the 6 confederations, with the new edition kicking off in 2025. Of course, the team Bezos' motivations are both sporting and political. On the sporting side, he argues that while national teams have their World Cup, club football truly lacks a global competition comparable to other sports like the Super Bowl. Politically, the tournament strengthens FIFA's influences over the elite club game, which is where most of football's money and powers reside. Infantino, who previously worked within UEFA, had a first row seat to the lucrative success the Champions League carried and is adamant for FIFA to take a big chunk of that club revenue pie. In short, Infantino wants the FIFA Club World Cup to be football's biggest, flashiest party with everybody invited, sky high stakes, and for FIFA to hold the microphone. The question is, what is wrong with that? So let's break down the issues one by one. The biggest concern heading into the Club World Cup is, of course, the scheduling congestion and the fact that player welfare is just an afterthought to FIFA. The tournament cramps a punishing month of matches right after the regular season when players should be recovering after a year of pinballing between domestic leagues, continental cups, and international duty. Take Real Madrid's Federico Valverde. By the time he steps onto the pitch for the Club World Cup, he would have already logged 6,000 minutes between club and country in this season. That is insane. Or to put in terms that you brain rot binge watching maniacs will understand, you could start watching Friends from the very first episode where Ross says hi to Rachel, eventually sleeps with Rachel, cheats on Rachel with the girl from the copy place, shouts we were on a break, breaks up with Rachel, sleeps with Barney, shouts we were on a break again, gets engaged to Emily, says Rachel's name at the altar, gets divorced from Emily, marries Rachel, gets divorced from Rachel, has a kid with Rachel, and in the very final episode stops Rachel from getting on a plane and eventually realizes that they are meant to be together and jokingly says, we are never going to be apart ever again, unless of course we are on a break. You would still rack up fewer minutes watching all of that in one setting than what Valverde has for Real Madrid and Uruguay this season without ever getting to say that he was on a break himself. In fact, player workload monitoring platform, a tracking tool by FIFPro, an organization that represents professional footballers from all over the world, indicate that only 13% of professional footballers are getting the recommended 28-day off-season break in an increasingly congested calendar. The good news is players and managers, for their part, have been very vocal in expressing their displeasure about all of this. For instance, this is what Manchester City defender Manuel Akanji had to say about the Club World Cup. But it's now right in our faces and there is nothing that we can do about it, I believe, is what Kris Rock said to himself at the Oscars. Here is another example. Thomas Frank, recently appointed as the manager of Tottenham, who couldn't care less about the tournament either. It is not a good endorsement for a brand new tournament when one of the top managers in the Premier League says that about it. Even La Liga's controversial president, Tebas, outright called it absurd, going as far as wishing that Real Madrid gets knocked out of the tournament early. This is the same man who once revealed how he personally spends hundreds of hours obsessing over illegal football streamers and compared buying cocaine and watching child pornography on the internet to illegally streaming football matches. And if that man is the voice of reason in all of this, that speaks volumes about the tournament's current state, and perhaps FIFA should take a hard, long look at the mirror. But the scheduling conflict is just the tip of the iceberg. Despite FIFA's best promotional efforts, ticket sales for the tournament has been shockingly low, with many stadiums across the US host cities less than half full, even for matches featuring global superstars like Lionel Messi or Kylian Mbappe. Ticket prices, which were listed for $349 at one point, have been slashed to just $55 for the opener, with FIFA struggling to get fans interested about the competition. Apparently, FIFA is even offering student tickets for as low as $20 and in some cases offering buy one and get four deals for these tickets. It's like your friend putting you up to the task of promoting their experimental play, so you go around inviting every person on the stage just so the cast doesn't outnumber the audience. But none of this should come as a surprise. Football thrives on grudges, rivalries, and the kind of simmering tension that makes an El Clasico or a Manchester derby unmissable must-see TV. But when you put 32 teams together, many of whom have never played against each other before, there is no animosity, no historic backstory that defines truly great spectacles in football. Just think back to the story of this legendary Arsenal fan who once pretended to be a Stoke City fan just to snag free tickets on Facebook and just so he could go watch the match in person and savor the moment his rivals got relegated and later took a dump on the stadium's toilet seat. Not on the toilet seat. That's the level of pettiness and devotion that fuels football's unforgettable moments. For a US audience, many of whom are still getting used to the fact that soccer and football are one and the same. Watching Al Ahly from Egypt take on Ulsan HDFC from South Korea is hardly a recipe for excitement. The tournament's credibility has taken further hits thanks to some eyebrow-raising decisions in the build-up. For example, Inter Miami's inclusion, despite winning the relatively minor Leagues Cup, has been widely seen as a blatant move to ensure Lionel Messi's participation in the tournament to boost its global image, regardless of sporting merit. Meanwhile, Mexican champions Club Leon, who earned their place by winning the CONCACAF Champions Cup, were unceremoniously dropped due to multi-ownership rules, with one of the owners also owning Pachuca, another club participating in the tournament. Yet, the tournament's main sponsor, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, is also the owner of Al Hilal, one of the clubs competing in the tournament, a glaring conflict of interest that FIFA seems perfectly happy to overlook. For a moment, let's turn a blind eye to the empty stadiums, desperate ticket giveaways, and contentious inclusions and exclusions. Even then, those aren't the only storm clouds looming over the tournament as of now. A tangled web of financial deals have sparked a wave of accusations about potential backroom dealings in the build-up to the FIFA Club World Cup. And when you look at the timelines, it's hard not to raise an eyebrow. Hear me out. On December 4, 2024, DAZN, a streaming platform which just recorded a loss of 1.5 billion in 2023, secures exclusive global broadcasting rights for a staggering $1 billion at a time when FIFA was struggling to find a broadcasting sponsor like Apple or Fox, who reportedly offered just $10 million for the US rights. A week later, FIFA awards the 2034 Men's World Cup to Saudi Arabia in a widely criticized and opaque bidding process. A month later, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment, which is also the main tournament sponsor, as I just mentioned a minute ago, acquired a 10% stake in DAZN for, you guessed it, $1 billion. Now, I'm not insinuating that there is a quid pro quo in all of this, but hypothetically, just hypothetically, if I were to explain to someone what quid pro quo meant, and I used this as an example, it would have gotten the job done. Having said all of this, it is not all bad though. While European clubs are rightly grumbling about the scheduled congestion and a mounting injury list, there are real upsides for clubs outside the traditional elite. The Club World Cup's $1 billion prize pool means even just showing up to the tournament is lucrative. For example, a club like Mamelodi Sundowns FC from South Africa, valued at around $33 million, stands to gain at least $9.5 million just for participating. That's a transformative sum for clubs from less wealthy leagues, potentially funding better infrastructure, youth academies, and helping them retain local talents. Or if they're feeling adventurous, they could blow it all on blackjack, like I would. Hit me, goddammit. Moving on, for the small clubs, the new format is a rare opportunity to share the spotlight with the European and South American heavyweights, getting to go toe-to-toe with some of the best clubs in the world, and potentially causing an upset or two, a FIFA tradition at the international stage. Imagine Pep Guardiola's horror if Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan score a 96-minute winner against Manchester City, powered purely by vibes. Personally, that visual alone would have been worth all the trouble for a competition like this. Moreover, beyond the prize money, FIFA has announced a $250 million Solidarity Investment Program target. While it sounds vague and ambiguous, the intention is to support club football globally at a grassroots level. Of course, whether this money actually reaches grassroots football or ends up in a vanity project remains to be seen. Of course, I'm talking about United Passions. While it sounds like a leaked tape from the Old Trafford locker room that someone uploaded to browsers, it was actually a $27 million flop from FIFA about its own founding. A movie that is somehow rated lower than the Human Centipede 3 on IMDb. Make of that what you will. Having touched on scheduling congestion, it's also worth noting that going forward, the Club World Cup is going to be held only once every 4 years, unlike its current annual format, largely reducing the congestion in the coming editions. While everything seems gloomy, plagued by player displeasure, empty seats, and growing pains, FIFA has a full 4-year cycle to address the challenges, improve the format, and build genuine excitement for future editions. And despite my misgivings throughout the episode, I genuinely believe there is potential for this to become a true festival of football where fans from Japan, Egypt, Italy, and beyond come together, share their cultures, and create an electric global atmosphere in the host cities that we have gotten used to with the FIFA World Cup. And before writing it off entirely, maybe you and I should both give it a shot. But then again, if you think the tournament is absurd and you would rather enjoy your summer and there is no chance you'll watch it, I understand that too. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from this edition of The Late Show from Sports Entertainment Weekly. Signing off, Kris.